Nick, thanks for being here today, man.
Of course, Dennis. Yeah, anything for you.
So I thought a great way to kind of frame the conversation, obviously we're going to get into mobile home parks and how you went from selling cars to owning mobile home parks.
Sure.
But I thought a great way to frame the conversation first is how you're even here today.
Okay.
I think that story is worth being told. So would you mind kind of letting us?
Absolutely. Yeah, I have no problem sharing that. So, and you know the story. I mean, we've known each other since, 8th, ninth grade, something like that.
Yeah.
But I was in college. I was working at a bar, and, my hours would start at like 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. So going in that night, it was like 5 o'clock or whatever, 2-lane road, drunk driver crossing double yellow line, and he was going like 60 miles an hour. I didn't really have a chance to, veer off the road or whatever. And it hit me head on. And I don't remember anything, which is good. So I just, waking up and hearing about it, I broke, both my femurs, my ankle, my face was, smashed in. Main thing was I tore my aorta, and that's like a less than 10% chance to survive. So I actually am very fortunate to be here. That's why I try and make the most of every day and every opportunity. But yeah, it was a long road to recovery. And, you kind of just think there when you're laying in bed and in rehab is like, can I ever be the same again? Can I ever, do what I ever wanted to do? And you have those doubts, but once you get over those humps and those milestones, you kind of, you see it, just got to get past it, just like anything in life. So just like in business, like, man, like, and I'm sure you've seen it, when you're doing your properties and like with me, it's like, I don't know if I'll ever be able to turn this around. I mean, it comes, so you just got to stick with it. So,
yeah.
But
how do you think that has impacted your decisions since that time? I mean, how do you take what happened at that point and kind of move forward with that? And how does that impact you on a daily basis?
I would say it sounds weird, funny when I say this, but it's probably one of the best things that ever happened to me. Just because I'm more cautious about things, not even just like, I'm not going to go skydiving or like, stuff like that, but I'm just like more like hesitant. Like I'm probably not going to go venture into this kind of, sector or whatever it may be. Or, I take my time on things like, all right, let's just see how these next 6 months go and see what we can make of it. Right. I don't know. I'm just more humble in a lot of ways. But it's definitely, is eye-opening for sure. So, it definitely brings you to like a new, I don't know, new light of, of things. Right.
Yeah. How long was that road to recovery, would you say, from the time you kind of started recovery to the time where you would say you were recovered?
Yeah. So, one that, you saw me in Charlotte. So I came up here to Wake Med Rehab, which they were great. Everybody was great. And I can't think, I know they're just doing their jobs, but like, that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
That's why I can golf and I can run on a treadmill. I can work out every day. I mean, it's unbelievable what I can do, right? Modern medicine's crazy. But I would say, 2013, that like, it happened in August. So I would say 4 years after that,
Yeah.
where I really felt like, okay, I'm like stronger again, and I'm feeling better. I can walk without getting tired or it's painful, and I still had like 4 more surgeries after I came home,
Wow.
So, I would say like 4 years.
Wow.
So
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, appreciate you share. All right. So you recover, and then what happens next? What do you start doing?
Recovering, as you know, my dad, he has a dealership up here. He was like, you need to get back like out in the world and on your feet, So he was like, why don't you go and sell cars? You have a good personality. I mean, you can probably sell cars. So I did that. So I went from being on the couch rehabbing to selling cars, and there's no real way to learn it. You just get thrown into the lion's den, right? I think my training lasted like 3 days. Like it's just how it is. You just either you sink or swim in sales, right? So it was fun. I mean, it's the characters you need in that business are just like the characters you need in the mobile home park business, right? It's just like you never know who's going to walk in the door and say, "Hey, I need a car today," and you take them down the road and that process and find out they're like a 300 big. You're like, how can your credit score be 300? But they want to buy a $40,000 car, right? So you definitely learn a lot. I mean, I've learned a lot just selling cars, right?
Sure.
So it was fun, but 60 to 70 hour weeks are not fun, right? I didn't really have a life back then.
Yeah.
It was just selling cars, and the people you saw at work that's who you saw.
That was your family.
That was it. Yeah. So, and I was still living at home with mom and dad.
Gotcha.
So, but it was fun. I mean, my parents are great, So, but, I would leave work and drive home and I'd be like, I think there's something more, right? I think there's something more I can do.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's when you got started, something maybe like flipping houses or something like that. I can't remember back then, but I was like, yeah, flipping houses, or I just want to do something in real estate. So I just didn't know what it was. So it was like a few nights online, just reading about real estate.
Yeah.
And then, I just stumbled upon investing in mobile home parks.
You stumble upon investing in mobile home.
I don't even know how I did, but I did. And this guy, Frank Roth, I mean, he teaches people how to invest in mobile home parks. So he owns I could be wrong, but it was like 300 or 400 mobile home parks, not lots, but parks, which I don't know how many lots that is. It's like a lot. I mean, he did it the right way, and he wants to teach new people how to do it. And he's got courses, which I've read all the books. I've read them 5-6 times over again. I mean, he's a great guy. He gives you his personal cell phone number, and then you just call him whenever you want if you got questions. He's just a great guy. Could be worth $1 million. Yeah. Hey, just call me if you got questions, right? So
hard to find in the guru class teaching world.
Yeah, especially today, right? People are like, oh, I've made my money, leave me alone. But this guy's like, if you got a question about anything, just call me.
Yeah.
So I went to his seminars, I did everything, and first my dad was like, Dad, I want to buy a mobile home park. My dad was like, you want to do what? Let's think of another option, right? So no, I mean, I came to him with legit numbers, and I'm set on this.
Yeah.
And I mean, it would replace my income. I mean, it would be great. So I was serious about it, and I think after I came home from one of the seminars, 6 to 8 months later, I had my first deal under contract.
What year is this?
I was back in so I went in 2018, and then in 2019, I had one under contract. And in real estate, you have it under contract, it lasts between 3 to 6. I mean, it takes forever.
So I want to talk where you're at today, but let's use this first deal, because I think it's a great place to start.
Sure.
Let's just do a really deep dive on it. First, how did you source this deal? Where did you go find this deal?
Google. Just Googling mobile home parks. So one day, it was probably 2 days, I just sat in my apartment and I called every mobile home park in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. And in big markets, I'm not going to buy one in, 300 person town. It's got to make sense, there's got to be stuff coming to that town. It's got to be a town of 100 or 200,000 people plus, but it's got to be within 30 minutes of a 700,000 person town, population. The metro has got to make sense, right?
Yeah.
The numbers have to make sense. So I call this guy, and it's in Augusta, Georgia, and my sister lives down there, works there, and I was like, hey, my name's Nick, I'd like to buy your mobile home park. And he goes, if you got the money, meet me here tomorrow. It's just this good old boy from Augusta, and I was like, all right. So I drove down the next day and I met him, and he
got in the truck and drove down the next day.
That's
yeah. Awesome.
And he's old, overweight, can't breathe, and I'm walking him up and down this trailer park for an hour, And he lays on the ground and starts throwing up and stuff. And I'm like, all right, I think I got him. You don't want to be there. He wants to get rid of it. So, and I mean, I had to like go and get him a water and a Gatorade from I mean, it was like, he was like white, like pale. So he calls me like an hour later when I'm on the road and he goes, hey, are you serious about this? I'm like, yeah, I'm dead serious. It's like, all right, well, send me, an offer. And obviously my offer didn't make sense. I mean, it made sense to me, but not to him. So no, we ended up working something out, and I still own it now. I mean, it's not for sale now, but
What was the size of this park?
it was 48 homes. There was like 25 or 26 occupied. So I just needed to get in there and do some work, and fill it up.
When you say 25 or 26 occupied, is that 25 homes or 26 lots that were occupied?
No, there's actually 48 homes on the pads.
Can you explain the difference between the lots and the homes? Because I don't know if everybody has
Sure.
to understand.
Yeah, so there's a few, like when you go into buying a deal, it's you'll have a park that is 100% occupied by either tenant-owned homes, which the tenant owns their home on your pad. Like you own the pad, right, in the mobile home park. Or you'll buy a mobile home park that has park-owned homes, which are fine to buy, just as long as you have a plan to get them out of your hair, because you know what happens, like renters are terrible, right? So park-owned home is a home that you own that the seller thought back in the day was great. I'm going to get $500 a month because the lot rent's only $200. I can get more money. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to fixing toilets, drywall, flooring, it all equals out to the lot rent you're going to get anyways, right? So park-owned home is, you're getting the lot rent in the park-owned home rent anyways, but it's just a home that you're renting out on your pad anyways. So,
Okay. So as an owner-operator, you prefer just the dirt. You don't want
the tenant, yeah, it's like a parking lot. You just want to rent out your land, and the tenant has their home on it, and they're paying you $300-400 a month just to.
And why would somebody leave their home there? Why do homes get left?
I mean, could be evictions, could be a number of things. There's no real like set reason.
Why?
Just life. Eviction's probably number one.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So you go down to Augusta, you meet this guy, you make him an offer. He says, do you have the money? And you said, yeah. Did you have the money, or were you going to have to go get the money?
Yeah, no, I mean, I had somewhat of it, I was just going to go get it. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So, but it was a seller finance deal. He didn't want to pay any taxes, right? He didn't want to, he didn't want to mess with capital gains. So the seller finance deal, I put, like $50,000 down or something like that. I just, but where it all this deal kind of goes up and down and up and down and up and down, just because of what happened over the past 2 years with the COVID letter, so it started out great, right?
Yeah.
Income was coming in, filling up the homes, and all of a sudden, like, it just plummeted.
Yeah. And I want to get to COVID.
Yeah. And I have all day to talk about that.
Cool. So before we get there though, okay, you get it under contract 2019.
Yeah.
You're under contract, call it 6 months. You close in 2019.
Right. Closed in 2019. I'm still working at the dealership. So I'm still working those long weeks. I drive down on, I think my off days were Thursdays. So I'd leave at like 5 a.m. Go down there, monitor, construction, fixing up homes, or meet somebody that wants to buy a home or rent out a home or whatever, and come back Thursday night, be at the dealership Friday morning and Saturday, Sundays if we had to work. So I was working a lot.
And are you,
back then.
When you bought this deal, did you have to do any immediate CapEx to it, or was it kind of just buy it, start to figure it out? What were you doing anything immediately to just? I know you're fixing up some of the homes, but were you doing anything to the park in general to improve the value or anything like that?
Yeah, I would say right off the gate, just fixing the homes and trying to get the income
Yeah.
You know,
The rent.
right, yeah. Because it was like 50% or under 50% vacant. So I just was like, all right, let me try and get this to 100 real quick.
Where do these tenants, where do they find your park? How do they find it? Is it just they drive by and see it?
Yeah,
Is there a brokerage world for that?
no, there's no brokerage world. It's
Where are people finding that?
there's a phone number on the side of the park, on the, you know, on the wall or on the building, and people just drive by. You know, a lot of people, we just get people just driving by calling our number.
And are they currently living in a different mobile home park and looking to move, and they're going to bring...
Yeah, they could be living in another mobile home park. Something could have happened there. Either they don't like their neighbor, you know, or they don't like the management there. I mean, the list could be 50 things long why they don't like it there. And they just want to try something else. We actually get a lot of calls from Google as well, like the Google page, you know. Those numbers are actually a lot, you know. The Google thing is crazy because it'll say you've had 3,000 visitors to your page this month, just looking for mobile home parks in that area.
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, maybe only 300 or 400 call, you know, and it's tough to keep up.
A lot of calls.
That's a lot of calls. Yeah. That's why I have another phone for that, you know. It's tough to keep up with those, you know, calls. Like, but now I have a property manager down in Augusta handling that. It's,
All right. So, you buy, you close, you're fixing up these homes. This is 2019. You're rolling along.
right.
You're starting to think you're looking for your next deal, stuff like that. And then COVID happened.
Right.
What happened?
So,
What happens during COVID?
I don't know. So during COVID, and I didn't know about like any of this, right? It was just like, I don't know, it was like a plan or anything. I mean, all of a sudden, like month after month after month, just like nothing was coming in.
Yeah.
And, you know, the news was just saying, you know, the renters don't have to pay rent. There's no evictions. And that's like how things work. If you don't pay your rent,
Yeah.
you get evicted, right?
Yeah.
And I don't like evicting people. I usually work out deals with tenants, right? I'm not there like, all right, you didn't pay by the 5th. I'm going to court with you right now. Like, I'll give you a break if I see that you're trying or something out, right? But I mean, this was unbelievable. It was like 6 to 7 months, almost 8 months of nothing coming in. And evictions were backed up for another 8 months in Augusta. So you got to think about like over a year.
Over a year to try to evict somebody.
No, nothing yeah. Mortgage was due. Water was still due. I mean, I stopped putting money back into the park just because there was no point, right?
Right.
So, fortunately, I had another mobile home park that I bought up in North Carolina, Burlington, that basically was just paying.
When did you buy that?
I bought that 2 weeks before the world shut down. Yeah.
Wow.
But Burlington they didn't even think about anything. Yeah.
February, you're rolling along.
I was like, man, this is great.
I got 2 mobile home parks, and then boom.
Yeah.
The world shuts down.
Right. But
And the people in Burlington, you said that lot
it didn't even phase them.
had no issues paying their
No, I mean the whole country had that law, right?
Right.
But like they didn't. I don't know if they didn't get the memo or like what, but
Never met.
I got 100% collection all during COVID.
That's incredible.
So fortunately, that was great because I could just pay all the bills for both parks with that one.
Using that.
Yeah. So, I mean, that left me with nothing to
Right.
live on.
Staying
Right?
home.
Yeah. So,
Gotcha. So people aren't paying anything. Are they still calling you, looking for you to do stuff down there? Or are they kind of
oh yeah.
avoiding you?
No, yeah. It's like, yeah. This is bro. I mean, you know, I still need to fix this, but you haven't paid your rent. But I mean, I have to. I mean, it's like more like I thought that I had to just because it was the right thing to do, right? But in the back of my head, I'm like, you haven't paid your rent in like 5 months. You know, like it just didn't make sense. So, yeah, that was. I don't.
Did you think, man, what business have I got myself into?
Yeah, right. No,
Or were you kind of just, going, that's okay, I just got to get through this time?
no. I was just thinking, man, I just hope that this ends like next month, and then it would just go on another month. I was like, okay, just one more month, So, No, I love mobile home parks. It's a great business. It just sucks like what happened, right?
Yeah.
It could have been any business,
Right.
So,
All right. So you get through COVID, and when do people start paying their rent again?
yeah, that was 2020, right?
Yeah.
2020. I'd really say end of 2021, beginning of 2022.
Gotcha.
Down there.
So almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years of no,
Rent.
yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Just the courts were just so backed up,
Right.
you know?
And did you have to evict people to get them to start, or did
Oh, yeah. No, I
had to start?
think I did like 19 evictions
Out of how many?
out of 23. Wow. So I had to start over again. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have you refilled all those spots?
Yeah, now we have 34 occupied.
That's incredible. All right, so you get to 2022, people start paying their rent again. You still have one in Augusta, you have the one in Burlington.
Right.
Are you thinking go look for another one at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
have you acquired that?
So I have 2 in Burlington, seller finance deal.
How does the seller financing work? Well, hey, let me ask this back up first. Who is the seller of these deals? What type of owner are they at this
Yeah,
point?
I was going to get into that. So the sellers who take these deals are the ones that have built the park with their bare hands and maybe a machine back in the 70s,
Right.
and they don't want to pay taxes, because they're going to have to pay, let's say it's $900 or $1 million deal. You have to pay what, $200,000 or, maybe a little bit less than that. And they don't want to do that. So if I give them $10,000 or $20,000 check and say, hey, I'll pay you every month for 5 to 6 years,
Yeah.
they'd rather do that. And they still want the monthly income,
They just don't want to deal with the hassle.
They just don't want
They
to,
just want you to pay them instead of 28 or 30 people.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Independent. Gotcha. All right, so you're going to them, you're asking for seller financing. What's the typical kind of setup on this seller financing deals? What does that look like most of the time? You don't have to give me specific of yours, but what's market-wise? I mean, right now we sit in an environment with higher rates.
Yeah.
What's the typical setup that you're looking at or seeing for the market in these seller finance deals?
I don't know if there's like a market for them, because I think I'm just making them up.
You are the market?
I'm just making that because I did an interest only deal for 4 years and put 30 grand down. But in those 4 years, I'll increase the value of the park, refi it,
Yeah.
and pull money out, and
Yeah. And is the seller financing on this, is that, is there a reason why you started doing that? Or let me rephrase that, were banks not interested in financing mobile home parks?
I think that's part of it. The banks are interested.
Now they are.
Yeah.
Now they definitely
Maybe a couple years or 3 years ago, but
Yeah.
private equity firms are getting into this stuff now.
Yeah.
Banks are just kind of like a little timid about it.
Yeah.
Because of the name mobile home park or trailer park or whatever. I don't know. Maybe 10, 15 years ago, there's probably a bad reputation about it.
Yeah.
But they're great investments.
Yeah. So banks are more willing these days.
I think so, yeah.
At lending.
But they're not going to give you, and I know interest rates are high right now, but you're not going to get a great rate on a mobile.
They're going to make you take part in the risk.
Yeah, you're going to, exactly, yeah. You're going to have to, pony up and put some money down. Versus like if I can just put a little here, that little down here on with the seller, and just keep doing that with some sellers and then refi them. I mean, that's kind of like the game plan,
Yeah.
So
Gotcha. 100%. All right. So, and I want to get into the private equity piece, but first, when you're buying these, are you looking at immediate expenses to improve these, or are you just going, I see that this is below market rent. I can increase that rent without doing anything, or the majority of the time, are you having to put more money into it first to increase the rent?
No, I would say, and I'll just give you the example. The second one we got in Burlington, like their rent was $170, and in Burlington market rent's probably like almost $400. Some guys are getting $450, almost $500.
Yeah.
So like, I'm not the type that there are operators that take them from $170 to $450.
Yeah.
As soon as they take ownership, that's what they do. I'm not like that. I just increase over time. But I would say that place does need some work.
Yeah.
The water lines probably need to be replaced, and that's probably going to be $30,000, and it needs to be paved. Well, that's going to be like $100,000, and I'm not going to do that until we plan on exiting the park.
Gotcha. All right, so let's talk about that, because that kind of gets into the private equity piece. So 2020, 2021 comes along, COVID hits, interest rates are super low. Everybody's trying to find somewhere to put cash, and institutions and private equity and all these big money firms start looking at mobile home parks. Typically it had been a mom and dad, mom and pop type business, and now you got guys on Wall Street looking at these mobile home deals.
Right. They've never been to one.
Right.
I don't even know what it is. Yeah.
So as an exit strategy, is the exit strategy mainly here to kind of keep acquiring from the mom and pops, put a portfolio together? Talk about the exit strategy.
Yeah.
And what you see that the guys on Wall Street are looking for, a year ago, but also what they're looking for today in these portfolios.
I think, and I think I texted you this. There was a portfolio for sale. It was like 2,800 lots, and the cap rate was like 1.8. Remember, it was like 2 years ago. I think it's like that. And you're like,
Had to have been 2 years ago.
and I was like, it doesn't make sense.
Willing to pay
But it was like, $58 million, and I was like, that is ridiculous. Whoever buys that will never be able to get out of it. You're just stuck in that, I feel like.
Yeah.
So, I feel like I'm just trying to get as many mobile home parks from the original person that either built it or bought it or whatever.
You want to be the middleman between them and Wall Street.
Correct. Yeah. Cause like if it's touched hands 2 or 3 times, you're not going to make any money, So,
and what kind of, I guess, what size portfolio do you see those, Wall Street or venture capital or private equity? What do you see them looking for in these sizes of a portfolio? Does it matter, or is it more the scale?
I don't know if it matters. I mean, I think they probably want something over 100 to 200 lots.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
You definitely have to have paved roads, because I think their banks need to see that, or their lenders, or maybe even their investors. So that's where doing these refis and putting capital back into the parks, comes handy.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's like a number. My magic number I would like to get to 250, or maybe 300. That would be great.
Yeah.
Because I think any private equity firm
will
scoop it up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and while we're talking about Wall Street, I was just thinking, is there any? I mean, it's a basic question, but like, how are you collecting rent? Is there any technology involved in this, or are you going? A lot of these mom and pops, I assume, were just collecting checks in the mailbox or going door to door and collecting rent.
Yeah.
Is there any technology involved in this market now?
Yeah. So there is. The way I do it is on the 20th of each month, I send out envelopes with their statements and a return envelope with a stamp. Very easy. You cannot mess it up. Has their lot number on it, so I know who it came from. Even though they have messed it up before, you cannot mess it up. So, but that's how I operate my business.
You feel that's better than trying to implement technology and letting?
Yeah, you can do that. I think the bigger guys do that because they don't want any contact with, the tenants. There are ways you can do like ACH or they can actually go to like a Dollar General or a Walmart, and they can pay with a money order.
Yeah.
And then that money order actually goes into the back end of your, or like into your bank account, like right there on the spot. So I looked into doing that, but there's costs involved, right?
Yeah.
Me sending envelopes on a Sunday, it's just me. So yeah, it's not, I mean, maybe I get to a bigger portfolio size.
Yeah.
Sure. But I can handle 200 tenants right now.
All right. So, so the industry has changed even since you got it in 2019.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like you could probably go find a number of these deals back then, get great cap rates and all that. So moving forward, what's your strategy moving forward in having to compete with some of these bigger players in the space? They have deeper pockets. They have bigger scale. Yeah. I mean, what's your thoughts behind that?
Yeah, it's because you brought that up. Back in the day, like when I mentioned this guy, Frank, he was probably buying a 100 space park for like 200 grand.
Yeah.
Or 100, like, right. Now a 100 space park is like 10 million almost, right? It's stupid.
Yeah.
So, but I think, this last deal, I'm selling the Augusta park, right? And I think I told you doing 1031 into this park in Burlington. It's a mid-sized park. It's almost 60 spaces.
Nice.
But the guy, he's 78 years old. He was in the Navy. He built a gas station out front of the park, sold that, and then he built the park behind it. So like he was literally just built his retirement, by hand.
Yeah.
So, and I called this guy 2 to 3 times a week for 5 years. And he finally called me. It was like, I think I'm ready to sell.
And were you talking to him over those 5 years?
No, I would
giving you the light of day.
I would just call him and leave him a voicemail for 5 years.
That's incredible.
Yeah. But I think he likes dealing with a guy like me because I'm just some guy. I have 2 parks in Burlington already, right? So he knows me.
Yeah.
But versus one of those private equity guys from New York, Texas, or whatever.
Right.
I think that's probably an advantage. And maybe he sees a little bit of him and me getting this thing going, So I think that probably helps too. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think definitely, even you, like, we definitely have an advantage, like us being young hustlers out there versus like guys with the deep pockets. I mean, the guy with the deep pockets is always going to win because I could just say, hey,
throw money.
Paying $10 million for this park that doesn't make sense. But like,
right,
we definitely have like over the mom and pop for sure.
Yeah. I love it. Well, is there anything about mobile home parks that we didn't talk about that you think we should, that most people wouldn't know about owning, operating, investing in mobile home parks?
Yeah, I mean, I know you asked me like, what are the misconceptions or whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that like I'm a slow lord and like I don't fix anything, or like I'm this rude guy and like I hate. No, like they're actually some of the nicest people.
Yeah.
That I've ever met. They are aware of today's world, right? They know about what's going on. They're not just like some druggie or whatever. Hollywood has really put a spin on all that, and it's kind of a shame.
Yeah.
Like Trailer Park Boys. If you've seen that, or if you've seen any episodes of that, that is 100% inaccurate.
Yeah.
Like none of that stuff goes on in a trailer park. Yeah. If you were to go in there right now to any of the parks that I have, it's like dead quiet. Nothing's going on because everybody's at work.
Right.
So you're not jumping off trailers onto cars or setting, dumpsters on fire. Like none of that goes on.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean,
is there a way to change that misconception?
I mean, I don't own any of the homes, so I don't know how I could be a slumlord.
Yeah.
It's fine. I don't care. You can call me whatever. It's fine.
Right.
Like that doesn't make a difference to me.
Right.
But like, I think that's every mobile home park owner or apartment complex owner that isn't nice.
Right. Everyone has a different kind of thought and way they run their business.
Right. Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't know if there is a way. I mean, that's just like what the world perceives it as.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if we can or ever will.
Yeah.
Be able to.
Yeah. I think you're working on it.
I'll try.
I think you're working on it. I think your tenants would say the same thing.
Yeah.
I think your tenants would say the same thing. All right. Well, I'm going to bring it home with a closing question that I think is important. What is the most memorable thing someone has ever done for you?
That was a good one. I don't know if it's actually one person that did something for me, but a lot of people, when I needed them, really helped me. Praying for me, cheering me on, just stopping by or texting me or whatever, during my time of need. And like they didn't need to, it was it was really nice of them, and I still appreciate it to this day, and I still think about it. I feel like what I'm doing right now, I feel like I need to grind even harder, and I just want to be successful, like, for everybody, because I want to show them that, like, you guys got me to a certain point, and like I want to show them that
Paid off.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't just like mope around and feel sorry for myself,
Yeah. Yeah, that's incredible. It's an incredible story. Cool, man. Well, I appreciate you joining us today. Yeah, man. It was fun.
It's an honor to be on here.
Yeah. Love it.
Let's do it again.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah.